Hey guys, in today's video we're talking about Noah Anderson, the 552k midfielder from Gold Coast. Hope you enjoy. Neo won the Matrix. Can Mr. Anderson redeem himself on the AFL field? What do you reckon?
There is a lot of upside to this one. Yes, Neo was the chosen one. I understand the dude is the greatest, the gift from the gods. I understand, but you never know. I think Noah Anderson is one that is being slept on, and he definitely was the Neo for the Gold Coast fans, as few as they are. He was Neo against Richmond when he kicked that goal after the siren. So he's not just Mr. Anderson. He's also got a bit of Neo in him too. So I'd get off him.
Yeah. I have to say, on a bit of a side note as well, that Gold Coast have done really well now after, Rankin's left, but they've done really well with keeping a lot of these really good talent players. Imagine a couple of years ago, Anderson would have been off somewhere else, maybe to a Richmond or to a Melbourne or someone else, But now this year, no complaints.
They have really changed things up. They just really were such a great training ground for great young talent to go there, get developed, and then be sent off to another team, taking advantage of them. It's just so great that they are able to hold on. He's extended his contract, and he just seems to be really happy playing there. Stuart Dew has changed the culture up there, I think, for the better. He's definitely someone that was, I think, questioned by a lot of people, but he's showing that he's able to lead.
Yeah. Now, Stewie Jews, it's been really interesting because he's been on the chopping block a couple of times. And unlike, maybe in Adam Simpson as well, but unlike a few other coaches, he's kind of really ridden the wave and now he's reaping the benefits of sticking around at the club for such a long time.
Yep, that's right. And the thing is, the Suns, I feel like they are still being a bit underrated given the number of the great performances, and they beat some really good sides last year. So I'm definitely not sleeping on them, and I would not be surprised if next year they've got King back. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not the go-to be-all end-all. They've got other supporting characters now to play, and they've Chol. The Chol Coast, that will never die because it's such a perfectly fitting name. And you got Casbolt, the big Levi, who couldn't kick a goal to save his life. Great mark. But now look at him. He's slotting goals left, right, and center. So, no, they're really exciting, man. And Flanders getting his tires pumped up as well. But definitely another preseason into Anderson, into Took, into Raul, into these guys. Another preseason into Wits off his injury, so he's able to, maybe run out the year a bit better. Man, there's only upside for Gold Coast this year.
Yeah, definitely. So let's kind of get stuck into it. We'll talk a little bit about his scoring from last year. So last year was his really big year. I guess kind of, 3 or 4 years into the system, he's really come of age and really taken a spot of his own in that midfield at Gold Coast. What did he get? It was his first time scoring 100 average, which is pretty amazing. And like you were saying at the start of the video, a big score of 154 kind of was his ceiling last year.
Yeah, that 154 was a sensational game. That winning goal after the siren against Richmond, and he would have gotten a lot of scaling. That really was the highlight of his season because he had a couple of scores, I think in the 130s. So that really was his big, I don't know what you can say, the cherry on top for what was a great season for him that pushed him over that 100 average. But you need to show that you've got a ceiling. You need to make it a worthwhile proposition to get you in, especially when you're priced at 100, like he is. He's priced at 100. So if you're able to really overshoot that score that you're priced at, there could be a lot of money to be made there, even if he might not be a keeper all year. But at least he would make a lot of money for you. So that's got something to be said there. That's for sure.
Yeah. So just looking at his scoring, he did have 12 scores over or 11 scores over 100, which is bloody fantastic for a third-year player. and really started to make that midfield his own. Obviously, you've got Tuke Miller in there as the main target. Matt Rowell really isn't the same type of player, it looks like, that what Noah Anderson is. Think a little bit like the Bulldogs, where Josh Dunkley was kind of a libber, was stuck in the middle. They'd get the ball and then hand it off to a Noah Anderson. So similar to like a Jack McRae at Gold Coast. So the main distributor there from the middle, can run, can kick, obviously can kick a goal as well for them. In 2020, he had 18% CBAs. In 2021, 48%. And then last year, massively going up to a 71%. So you can really see the growth there of the player. And you kind of think, hey, maybe that will cap out this year at about an 80 or so. So the scoring's there for him. The potential's there for him. We'll just got to wait and see what happens.
Yep, that's right. It could also stay roughly around the 70% mark. If a guy like Sam Flanders is going to get more midfield minutes, like what they're saying over there at the Suns, but that's probably about what he needs. I don't think he really needs all of the CBAs in the world because he has a great outside game. He has a good kick to handball ratio, and a lot of his scoring, from what we've seen during the course of the season, involves him having just midfield minutes where he's able to get a lot of meters gained. If you look at his, he tends to average between 500 and 700 meters gained each match, which is where you'd see a lot of these decent good scores for him. But then when you have these games where he only has like around 300 meters gained, you tend to see that there is not a lot of scoring there involved. So if he just simply has more midfield minutes, even playing like a ruck rover sort of role that doesn't have to involve CBAs, that still is going to be perfectly fine for a guy of his caliber. He can then push up forward and kick a goal. I think that's probably still an avenue that Anderson's got with his scoring. So, you might not see a big bump in CBAs, but that won't be a big deal because he can score in different ways.
Yeah. So we've kind of spoken about the positives for him, why we should have a look at picking him. Are there any negatives there that, hey, maybe we should be kind of careful of?
So the reason, with his price point at 552, 900, he's someone that you are looking at other, people in that price range. And it also depends, I suppose, on why you're picking him. If you're picking him to be a keeper all year, then that means you're expecting him to be a top 10 midfielder. And for him to be a top 10 midfielder, he has to average around 112. That's what we saw last year with what the top 10 mids were averaging. The 10th ranked was averaging 112, and that was Andy Brayshaw. So he has to be roughly at that point or above, which means that he has to improve his average to, he has to bump up his average by just over 10 points. Whether or not you think he can do that is up to you, I suppose, because this is the definition of trying to pick out a player that's about to break out. You know what I mean? So because it was his first year scoring over 100, and you're paying 552,900, especially when you've got other players like a Tom Green or a Titch, a Tom Mitchell. That is also available at that price. People that might have a bigger sample size, especially in Mitchell's circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of competition around that, like you're saying, that 500K mark. I guess one of the other things as well is last year he did have 11 scores under 100, which for a premium, if you want him to be a full premium in your midfield, someone you're keeping all year, is probably not a great thing. And he seems to have a few clangers as well. So kind of we've spoken about a few other players who are these high impact players, these guys that like to run. Sometimes they'll kick it and it won't go directly on target. Maybe that changes a little bit with Ben King being in that forward line, really strong marking target. Maybe that kind of improves, but definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah, someone who is an outside player with clangers, it really hurts. Like if you're someone like a Clayton Oliver, for example, or a Rory Laird, people who are getting in and under, doing some dirty work, getting a lot of contested possessions. Yeah, you'll find that in their scorecards. There are a few clangers in there as well, but it doesn't really doesn't bite and hit their score as hard as someone who is like more of an outside player that aren't getting those extra points from the contested side of things. Having a lot of clangers in your game could be really detrimental, and we saw that in round 3, he only scored a 55 there with 5 clangers. So look,
Yeah.
there is speculation, and there's definitely hoping that this guy is going to be the breakout player. And if, well, he really could be. That's just something for you to decide. How bullish you are on that breakout, if it's going to be over 112 points or not.
Yeah. So I guess, Joe, the real question is, will you be playing him this year? Do you think he maybe is an upgrade target? What's your feelings?
I'm not going to be starting him, for the reason that there are other players around that price point that I just think are more surer picks. Yes, he's a sensational talent. I don't doubt that. But I don't know whether or not he has the consistency of a Green, for example, who's going to play in the guts. Tom Mitchell, who's going to be playing in the guts, and who's got a history of scoring. He's going to be someone that I probably have a look and see. And if he's shaping up to be a top 10 mid, then he's someone that I'll be trying to upgrade to. What about you? What about yourself?
I'm definitely on the same train of thought there. If he comes out and, has a really good start to the season, maybe someone to look to bring in after his bye round, because they've got the bye round with Geelong, where they're the only 2 teams, so Gold Coast and Geelong there. But at the moment, totally agree. There's some other players around that price point that probably offer a bit more stability and value for me.
Nice.
Finishing touches, Joe.
Okay, I was gonna let you run off with it. All right then.
Right.
So thanks, guys, for watching. That is our player profile on Noah Anderson, the soon-to-be breaking out player from the Gold Coast Suns. Please, guys, like, share, subscribe. We've got a lot more player profiles to come. And if you've got any suggestions, any players that you want us to have a deep dive into, please comment down below. Get involved with our group. Big prizes to be won. Major prize, the jersey with a number on the back. What were the other prizes, Big J, that we got on offer?
So we're giving away as well 2 tickets to a footy game next year, and then AFL store voucher as well. So get involved, guys. I'll put in the comments description our video for that prize pool as well, so you guys can just watch that and then follow along.
Yeah, we've got 117 people in that group already. So please, if you want to get involved, please, and you want to have a shot at winning and having some friendly banter with us and the guys that are there, please come along.